Henry Kissinger turning 100. Wow, what a career. I remember hearing his name a lot growing up, and he's celebrated as this genius of geopolitics. What do you think? Something that comes to mind, endless wars. Let's get into it. Many of us are beginning to reevaluate our past support for these wars that were sold to us based on lies. And we have veterans in our families and, friends, and we hear different narratives. I know a Vietnam vet who told me some really shocking things about his experience over in Vietnam. And I knew a young man who did too many tours in Afghanistan, and he was destroyed. He committed suicide. And if that's not heartbreaking enough, some real insult to injury is when our veterans return home from these wars, how they are treated. It is a crime against humanity. I look at Henry Kissinger very differently today, as I do with 4 women that I liken to Kissinger's angels. 4 bloodthirsty NeoCON queens, and Condoleezza Rice was proud to be known as the High Priestess of Bombs. Back to Henry Kissinger, this so-called genius of geopolitics and statecraft. Well, I don't think history is going to be kind if it's honest about his involvement in the Vietnam War. And there were lots of secret bombings that were carried out in Cambodia and Laos that resulted in lots of loss of life. And he, again, supported authoritarian regimes that ended up in coups and lots of human rights abuses. This is a person who actually sabotaged peace. He wanted war, and millions of lives lost, lots of blood on his hands. And also, looking at a lot of people like him who were very disloyal and sold us off to China, that's also going to be exposed fully. Let's take a quick look at these war queens. First up, Madeleine Albright. She would be the queen mother of these NeoCON war queens. And she was the first female Secretary of State. She was under the Clinton administration, and we can thank her for getting the whole pot stirred up in Iraq in the 1990s. So you can see statecrafting, getting things ready for what was to come. The next war queen up would be Condoleezza Rice. And Condoleezza Rice served under George W. Bush. She once slipped up and called him her husband, but we won't get into that right now. But there's an interesting entanglement with Condoleezza and Madeleine Albright. Madeleine Albright's father considered Condoleezza Rice his second daughter. You figure that math out. But Condi and her involvement in the Iraq war is something that, boy, what a legacy. The lies, Condi. Why did you lie to us? The public isn't too kind to these war queens.
Let's talk about American power and torture. Shut up. Let's talk about the fact that when you were Secretary of State, torture was brought in and utilized in this country. You are a war criminal. You belong to be prosecuted in The Hague and not in front of a university audience. This has nothing to do with academic freedom. This has to do with her actions while she was Secretary of State.
That sister wanted all the smoke with Condi. But next up would be none other than Hillary Clinton. Hills is kind of like the grande dame of these NeoCON war queens. She was a Secretary of State and a U.S. Senator. And very complex political career, they say. Advocacy for healthcare reform, remember Hillary Care? And women's rights. Yeah, I wonder what you're saying about women being replaced and erased, Hills. But yeah, her role in the Benghazi attacks, as well as what happened in Libya to Gaddafi, and private email servers. What else? Epstein Island. Okay, I've said too much.
Now, we have no doubt they were terrorists, they were militants, they attacked us, they killed our people. But what was going on and why they were doing what they were doing?
No. Again, we were misled that there were supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact. And the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
She really has a way with words. Ooh-wee, the karma of it all.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
And the last queen, this would be the baby NeoCON queen, war queen, Susan Rice. And why do I want to get tinfoil out? Why does Susan and Condoleezza have the last name Rice? Can someone please tell me what's going on? Susan Rice, boy, I did some research into Susan, and she has a really disturbing background, and her involvement in Benghazi, as well as this Russian collusion and hoax, and just what they did to a sitting president. Unreal. That's the real coup, and the justice that will come is going to be biblical, because this is so huge. The people that used to love peace, like the classical liberals, I hope that they are waking up to this war industry and realizing that this is not sustainable, and we have so much collective blood on our hands as a nation. I repent of supporting them in some of these wars and falling for the lies. I just hope we can do this on a national level, because America has a lot of blood on our hands, and we are guilty of high crimes against humanity as a nation.